Oh yeah.
Dude,
Dude, because we, we
it's
both we both we both have seen Bumblebee, so after seeing
yeah.
such a good Transformers movie, going back to shitty Transformers movies,
Oh, dude, I would like I've been watching them last few days and I'm like, what? These are awful.
we're in the medium or platform of YouTube, and so can you talk a bit about how you got into it?
Yeah, I mean, in high school, I took a class, like a video productions class, trying kind of just, intro into that. And that was like 10 years ago.
Mm.
So one of my first videos is 10 years ago. And then obviously life, school, all of that stuff gets in the way. But then I was like, I'm an adult. I don't do anything. I need a hobby. I go to movies all the time. I don't have anyone to talk to. Let's just put it on the internet. Maybe some people will watch. And here I am.
Now, what I love about your YouTube videos, man, you are one funny dude. I mean, like, not
Thank you. I appreciate it.
now. I mean, for me, I'm not naturally funny. I have to actually think really, really hard, before I spew it or before I tweet it. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
is this gonna be funny, or are people gonna be like, am I gonna be the only one laughing? Like, but you come up with these things and these jokes. I mean, have you always been like that?
Ah, kind of, sort of. And the thing is, you every time I'll tweet something out, you're always there to retweet it or laugh at it. So I appreciate that. But I don't know. I think I just kind of learned at a young age, and I'm not like super funny, but I don't know. I'll be at work and I work some mindless finance job, so I'll just be doing my thing, and then all of a sudden something will come into my mind. I'm like, that's kind of funny, and then I'll just write it down or tweet it out or something. Yeah, I want to start doing stand up, which I'm trying to cut out some time to do that. But I have tons and tons of stuff written down.
But you incorporated that into your YouTube video reviews, so that becomes your niche. Where everybody's got their own style. You is like comedy, sketch, and you make your reviews funny, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, it's hard. There's a lot of people reviewing movies on YouTube, so it's kind of hard to stand out.
Mm.
You got to do something a little bit unique. And that's what I like. I'm trying to put my personality into my videos, and I love doing those intros and those cutaways. Like, I mean, it takes a little bit longer to do my reviews, but I love doing those.
My favorite, your well, that's not exactly part of your review, but you did post this on Instagram. Your intro for Unfriended, that got me rolling on
Oh
the
yeah.
floor.
That one's one of my funniest ones because it was so funny. I was like, okay, I'm not a big fan of horror. I get scared very easily, but I was sitting at work and I'm like, this is the funniest intro. I filmed it and I'm like, maybe I can use it for some other movie. And I'm like, whatever, I'll just release it or whatever. Yeah.
Uh, all right, all right. So we'll get to that again. We'll get back to that, but let's look at our iPad and our my screen here as well. I have some notes. Let's talk a bit about the Transformers franchise before we get to Bumblebee. Let's start with the first Transformers movie in 2007. I'm gonna share a bit for for our viewers about the plot here. Basically, Shia LaBeouf stars are Sam Witwicky, and he finds this Camaro that turns out to be Bumblebee, and there's this whole big arc or story arc regarding Decepticons versus Autobots. Then their war gets to planet Earth, and the MacGuffin or the object is this Allspark, and it turns out to be this thing that ends up being in the hands of Shia LaBeouf's character Sam Witwicky, and that's how basically the story tries to mix the humans, in the midst of all these giant robots. And that's in a nutshell without spoiling any details. I mean, even though we're going to be sharing a lot of spoilers in this video. Um, I want to say, I don't, before you share your thoughts about this, uh,
Hmm.
I remember the first time I saw the trailer and I was stoked, because I grew up liking Transformers toys,
Yeah.
watching Transformers cartoon as a kid, and I was stoked. Now, um, and Michael Bay movies up to that point, what I remembered was Armageddon, The Rock.
Yep, The Rock.
Exactly. I enjoyed Bad Boys. I actually enjoyed Bad Boys movies, so I was like, oh, okay, okay, Michael Bay Transformers, all right. So, and then I watched it, and it wasn't bad. The first movie, I did not hate it. I mean, they really, how do you call it? Of course, Michael Bay incorporated all his spinning shots and his slow
Yep.
mo, and his explosions and his usual incorporate putting in a bunch of hot girls for no reason.
I wrote that down a lot.
And this is the movie when Shia LaBeouf becomes a big star. He had a few movies before this, but this is the one that shot him to stardom. And
Mhm.
everybody, of course, made a meme or a video about how he always says no, 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 no. So overall, I did not hate it. This is probably the only Transformers movie that I actually enjoyed from Michael Bay. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree that this one, this one's arguably the best one until maybe another one we're going to talk about later.
Of course.
But I guess when you asked me to do this video, I had no clue what the Rotten Tomato scores for these movies were.
Oh, me too.
And the first one is the best right now. It's like 53, 58, something like that. And then it just dives after that. But yeah, this first one, like it was I never saw the 80s animated one. I heard that a lot of people are really nostalgic about that one.
Yeah.
Um, so this was kind of my first exposure to Transformers. I watched cartoon Beast Wars like a long time ago where
Yes.
dude, that was awesome.
Oh
Where they
my
changed
god.
into animals. I want that as a movie. But this was my first exposure, and like you said, I had seen Michael Bay movies before, Armageddon, The Rock, exactly. Like when I was watching it the last few days, I kept writing down The Rock because all of the shots that he uses, just those swinging ones from down below with the sun coming in, those are
Yes.
from The Rock 100%. But yeah, I mean, it's a fine movie, Shia LaBeouf, you like it, you don't like it, but I mean, it's an okay movie.
And the thing is, this is also the movie that got everybody, turning their heads over. Ooh, Megan Fox. That whole shot of her opening the hood of the car, and
Yep.
Michael Bay is just drooling throughout the whole sequence.
Yeah, I wrote down sexualizing Megan Fox dot 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 a lot.
What do you think about that? Have you always? I mean, I always thought that she's hot, but I don't think she's that great of an actress. You
No,
know?
no, and that's the thing is like she's not really in anything that's really noteworthy. I mean, I think this was again my first exposure to her, and then I'm like, oh, at that time I was high school, maybe right into college, and I was like, she's very attractive,
Mhm.
this, that, blah, blah, blah. She's wearing next to nothing. Michael Bay apparently knows what he's doing, but I don't know. She doesn't add. She's just there to be a counterpart to Shia LaBeouf's character.
Yes, and you know what? There's one scene that rewatching it again, I made me number one miss Bernie Mac. I love Bernie Mac. May he rest in
Yeah.
peace. Number two, that scene, man. Shia LaBeouf was a jerk. What Sam Witwicky when like, yeah, bros before hoes, man. You can't just kick your best friend out just for a girl.
Yep.
That was not cool.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing is like I don't know if Michael Bay is all like this or it's just the Transformers, but like obviously he used the Megan Fox, she's very much sexualized. But then I wrote down that there's like within the first 10 minutes, there's a lot of sex jokes like he's doing his like book report and then he's saying like
Yes.
semen and then sextant and then he's like let me ride you home. I mean give you a ride home and I'm like what is going on?
That's the thing too. I will get to Bumblebee even further, but I tweeted last night. I was like, it felt so good to watch a Transformers movie without the bad sexist jokes. I
Well,
was
you
like,
know
it felt
what?
so good.
Yeah, and the thing is like okay, the first one came out 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah.
You can see how so much has changed. Like you probably couldn't get away with a lot of stuff that is in this first movie.
Yes.
It would be very a lot of people would be nitpicking at it.
Before we get to the next one, title as well. I the all Transformers movies that by Michael Bay, there's always cameo by Oscar winner or Oscar nominee. We'll get to further down the road with Frances McDormand, but then
Yeah.
this one there's John Voight, and I remember though, rewatching it, I was like, what in the world is an Oscar winner like John Voight doing in a Transformers movie? And I think you can agree with me that, and this applies to all Michael Bay's Transformers movies, and that including this one, it's just like it's too long. I was like,
Yes.
I rewatched it again. I kid you not. I sometimes fast forwarded it. I know it's not fair, but I did. Sometimes I get bored. It's like,
Yeah.
no, let me fast forward it.
No, no, I totally agree. It was like I remember it being a long movie, but I think all of them, I think the first one's like what, 223 or something. It's
Yes.
they're all pretty long. But just looking at some of the stuff I wrote down, like the the government asks like teenagers or college students to help hack. Like I was very confused. I'm like, you're just and he had a visitor's badge. Like, who are these people? And then I also wrote down that the first actual Transformers, I mean there's the Scorpion one and a few other little ones before, but the
Yeah.
actual first Transformer doesn't show up for 50 minutes. Yeah, it takes
Oh.
that's why the movie's so long because it just start at the 50-minute mark with a Transformer and then let's go.
It took a while for it to make its point. You're
Yeah.
correct, or to get to the actual story at hand.
Mm.
All right, final thoughts before we get to the next topic, bro, or next film.
Um, I don't know. It's a product of its time. It's good for what it was. I mean, because no one had done a Transformers before, and the visual effects on the robots were pretty good.
Yeah.
All the moving parts and everything. But other than that, it's just a movie.
Thank you for bringing up that point. I almost forgot. Yes, I think the timing of this movie's arrival, because the technology finally caught up. Because if you couldn't make a Transformers movie back in the '90s or the '80s.
No.
So as far as visual effects goes and CG, it was great. To me, it was great from the technical
Mhm.
standpoint. This movie
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, I would say it's a little overused. It's maybe a little dated now, but at that time it was very, very high tech.
Yes. Um. All right. So Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. I looked it up on IMDb here.
Oh yeah.
It's 150 minutes. 2 hours and 30 minutes.
And I watched it today. I know that it's that long.
For our viewers, real quick, the plot is it's a sequel, of course, and in the first movie, forgot to mention to you guys that the location of the Allspark is imprinted in great great grandpa Witwicky's glasses. In this time, it's imprinted in Sam's brain, in Sam's head. and, and everything the story leads them to this big bad villain called the Fallen that wants to use that MacGuffin or to also rule the universe, basically. So it's very, very simplistic, very simpleton of a villain, in my opinion. I Oh man, this is probably like you said. This is where it goes downhill. It just that
Yes.
whole thing with the pyramids in Egypt, that whole sequence. And I'm like, because I think we had a couple of desert war or desert battle scenes in the first movie, and
Yeah,
now
with the
we
scorpion.
exactly, and then we have some more in the sequel. It's like, I was like, come on, Michael Bay, what is up with you in the
Hey,
desert?
you got to stick to what you know.
So it's like all these deserts, man, all these sand.
Yeah.
um, uh, of course, Megan Fox came back. I rewatched it this morning, and there's a couple of shots of where Megan Fox pretty much was just there, like you said, was just there to look hot. Like she there's a shot where she was like holding her mouth, trying to keep herself quiet, while the Transformers were looking for her. But it was
Yeah.
like, other than that, it was just
Yeah.
like a shot of her looking hot. Here you go. Here she is, another hot shot. It's just like, what the hell?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What are your thoughts, bro?
Going off the Megan Fox thing, I wrote down still a lot of sexual innuendos,
Yes.
and then I say, "Hey, I wonder where Megan Fox is." Dot dot dot. Oh, there she is, bent over a motorcycle, airbrushing something on it. And then it says, "Don't mind me" in parentheses.
And could I just say that because I don't remember all of the Transformers robots' names, but
No,
but many of them are dicks. They're all jerks. Most of them, at
yeah,
least, especially the little ones, the wheelie ones. They're
yeah, the
just
little ones.
jerks. Bunch of
Yeah,
assholes, dude.
yeah, the little ones are definitely little pricks or whatever. But even the big ones, they're all kind of like, dude, why are we doing this? Like, let's shoot these humans. And Optimus Prime is like, no, we need to save the Tesseract this time around. Like, I don't know.
And
okay. Is this the one that opened where they're like hunting other robots, and then it's that giant one like two-wheeled crane that goes down the highway?
yes.
Okay, because I wrote down, I didn't know what movie it was. I said opening scenes, billions of dollars of destruction, and thousands of people dead.
No, thank you for bringing that up. I forgot to mention. Yes, this is the movie where at the beginning part of it, the government, a human government, made a treaty with the
Mhm.
Autobots to hunt down Decepticons who are hiding. So you're right, and so that's the big sequence in the beginning part.
Yeah, yeah. So that, I mean, that starts the movie off with giant the Michael Bay giant action explosions, all of that. Then we get Megan Fox sexualized. The one thing that
Yeah.
seemed like a complete character change and very cartoony was the mom.
Yeah.
Like she just takes from the first movie, she's kind of timid, she's a little out there, and this one she's taken special brownies from people at college. She's just out of control. She's very she's I said the mom is horny as hell. It just I don't know. I think it's just the writing, Michael Bay, I don't know. There's a weird this rewatching these definitely put a different perspective in my mind.
Thank you for that point. Regarding also, I want to bring up the fact that the whole imprint in Sam Witwicky's brain or inside his head, because this time he's in college. Remember in the first movie he was in high school, and
Yep.
it seems that the writers, I don't know, maybe you disagree with me, but they're having or they ran out of ideas on how to blend or Sam Witwicky's in the midst of this war between Decepticons and Autobots. Like say, we did have that MacGuffin, that cube in the beginning. Let's come up with, oh, it's in him now. Let's make it in him.
Hmm.
So instead of an
Yeah,
object.
I will agree with you 100% that it's one of those things that they're like, well, we can't really do a whole movie about just talking robots. Like, it won't appeal to people. We need to get some sort of human element, and that's
Yeah.
why they have to keep adding Shia LaBeouf, somehow kind of keep a story with his character into the mix. And yeah, it's basically the exact same. They're just like, let's brainwash him somehow so he sees all these signs.
Yeah. And I'm a big fan of John Turturro, from the Oh Brother Where Art Thou and all his movies. But
Yeah.
man, if I feel so heartbroken or so sad or bummed out seeing him as a comic relief that's just annoying in this one. It's just like, I don't know, man. To see him be treated that way as a character in such a way, it's sad.
Yeah, yeah, no, I totally agree. It's just it's this weird thing where it's like action, action, action. We need some sort of light. It's just like the humans were basically the humor. Like the rest of it was just explosions and just people chasing down, like you said, MacGuffins or cosmic cubes or some kind of all spark jab into your chest thing. I don't know.
it's it seems that the next time we do another collabo, we may have to find some more appealing franchise than this, but it's okay.
The thing is, everyone asked me to do a video, and it's a really bad movie, and I'm like, dude, I don't have anything good to say, and I don't like being negative.
But you know what? This makes for a fun laugh.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I
What
don't,
what's
huh?
wait? What's your
Yeah.
opinion on how they basically had to bring Megatron back?
Oh, see, that's another thing too. I was like, it's one of those because I have this thing with movies, especially TV shows, where it bugs me when the characters don't stay dead. It's like just leave them; they're dead already. It's like I know things don't stay dead in science fiction, but it just cheapens their death. It just cheapens what already happened. So
Yeah.
it's like, why do we go through that after all if we're just gonna bring them back? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And the thing is, like you said about the whole like glasses, the stuff being on the glasses and then on his brain. The first one he's frozen in ice, and then this one he's just at the bottom of the ocean. Like it's very similar of what they're like, we gotta put him somewhere. Let's put him here. He'll come back.
Yeah, and also thank you for that. Because I think on other franchises, like for example Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight trilogy,
Hmm.
and I forgot some other ones, but they usually start when it's the first movie. They usually start with maybe second tier villain as the lead villain, and then you bring out the Joker in the sequel. But no, Megatron has to be in the first one. Megatron to me is a more well known villain than the Fallen.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, they should have bust out Megatron in the second one. But that's just me.
Yeah, and well, in the second one too, it's kind of this weird ground because they're both present. It's
Yeah.
like, let's bring the first guy back and then bring back another dude that he's kind of working for.
And you know how it is, right? When there's too many villains, they usually don't work out right.
No, no.
Spider-Man 3. Anybody?
Yeah. Or Amazing Spider-Man 2.
There you go. All right. Let's get to the next title. Any final thoughts before we go?
Just that that giant Egypt robot had wrecking balls as balls. That's all I want to say. And yes, I have that written down.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for that. I'm not thanking for the balls, but I'm thanking for the fact that
Yes, Michael Bay, give me them balls.
But oh man, I keep thinking of South Park episode where everybody had giant balls.
Yeah, just hopping around.
But I digress. And I think we can agree that Michael Bay made Transformers movies for horny teenage high school boys. I think that's the demographic.
100%. Want to see cool explosions and some tight ass.
And robot balls.
Yeah, exactly. Just
Now, Transformers.
sorry.
No, that's fine, bro. That's fine. This is the most fun collabo I've ever had. So thank you.
Good.
Transformers: Dark of the Moon. The first time I heard about this title, I was like, "Holy shit! Pink Floyd is gonna be involved." I was like, "No, it's not."
That should have been the theme song.
Turns out they were nowhere near the soundtrack. So for our viewers, real quick, it picks up 2 years after the Egypt incident. The Autobots. So basically, this is the first. Well, no, the second one was actually the first. When they start to suggest that Transformers actually already arrived, long time ago, in the ancient human history. And in this time, it's during the Apollo 11 mission. So Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin they went up to the moon not to make history, but to actually investigate the crash that happened on the dark side of the moon. And it all leads to this Sentinel Prime, Optimus Prime's old mentor, who is voiced by the late great Leonard Nimoy. And of course, there's another arc coming along, and then Sentinel betrays Optimus Prime, and they have a big battle in Chicago, and scene.
Yeah, that's basically that's the movie. Next movie, let's go.
Now, what are your thoughts, bro? And I'll share my thoughts.
Well, I'm just really confused because I didn't see the Transformers moon part in the movie First Man. Like, did they leave that out? Because I thought that was supposed to be a documentary. I don't know about that. Or a biopic, actually. My bad. This one was like rewatching it. This was the one that I didn't remember at all. Like, I sort of remembered that he had a different girl, like he had a different girlfriend. Right. And also I wrote down, this may be the fastest we get some skin, 8 minutes, 57 seconds, and we see her ass walking up the stairs. So Michael Bay, good for you.
And thank you for that, bringing that up. I do have this on my note that between movie 2 and movie 3, Megan Fox got fired because she said in a talk show that working with Michael Bay is like working with Hitler.
Oh,
because Michael Bay really worked them hard, and so she used the word Hitler to describe Michael Bay. And producer Steven Spielberg did not like that, and so he demanded Michael Bay to fire her, and that's what happened. And she got replaced by Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, who I think is Jason Statham's girlfriend in real life. So of course, you gotta replace her with another hottie.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do. The thing is, I knew that she either left or got fired, but I never knew the reason why. But thanks for that. I didn't know that.
No problem. Yeah. So Rosie Huntington-Whiteley as a love interest to Sam Witwicky. Dude, if you thought Megan Fox could not act, Rosie could not act even more. I, I,
She was just a pretty face.
I did not like any scene that she's in. Such an
No.
my favorite part, of course, since I'm a big Trekker, I'm a big fan of the fact that Leonard Nimoy voiced Sentinel Prime, and
Hmm.
this is the movie that got us asking, what the hell are Frances McDormand and John Malkovich doing in this one?
I wrote that down because I had to double check. I was like, is that Francis McDormand? And I'm like, holy shit. Yeah, I was very confused. There was a lot of big names in this one too, because beyond I mean, he's not that big movie wise, but TV wise, Ken Jeong is on in this
Yes,
too.
yes. I think some people just like to do things for the paycheck, from time to
Hey
time.
man, you gotta do whatever pays the bills, I guess.
And I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of product placements here too. I know, of course, the cars are a big deal. Every time there's a Transformers movie, like there's a new car that just released from, I don't know, whatever brand or make. It's like, oh, the 2009 something. It's gonna be featured in this Transformers Dark of the Moon. And on top of the other product placements they have here, including Victoria's Secret models, I noticed many of the workers in that office, Ken Jeong's office, they're
Mhm.
hot. The girls are
Yeah,
hot.
yeah,
They're
like
all models.
I think Sam Witwicky, he's working in what, the mail room or something.
Yeah.
And that one Latino girl she just has him like pushed up, and the dude's like, "Hey, never come to work that way. If you do, I'll fire you." And I was like, "What the hell? What kind of office is this?"
I'm like, where is that? I want to put my resume
Yeah,
in.
I was like, "Oh, geez, you're gonna poke an eye with those."
Now, this is also the movie that features McDreamy from Grey's Anatomy.
Yep, wrote that down. The
I,
McDreamy bad guy.
I see. This is what I mentioned earlier with you. The fact that the writers are like, okay, oh, so how do we put Sam Witwicky back? I know we're gonna have him find a job, right, in that phase of his life, and then we're gonna have a human antagonist to counter him. Is that what do
Yes.
you think? Is that what the sense you get?
Yeah, that's exactly the sense I got. But then you almost find out that the dude, I mean, he's in cahoots with the Decepticons, but
Yeah.
like that like vulture thing is like his assassin or something, because it's putting down all these dudes. It was very perplexing.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Optimus died in this one, right? Or he got brought back.
The second one, he dies and they stab him and he comes back.
Okay.
This one, I don't think he does. I think that they just fight at the
Oh,
end and it's very close.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. See, I got the
No, see,
Transformers movies mixed up.
See, that's the thing. They're just one big movie after a while.
No, this is the one that has that old man Transformers, the one in the Smithsonian
Oh, that's
Museum.
the second one.
The second one?
Yeah, that's the second
God
one too.
damn.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I thought the same thing when I watched them today, and I was like, "Wait a minute! I thought two and three are literally the same movie. You just cut them together, one big movie." You know what? I'm gonna double check because I'm starting to think that maybe I might be wrong.
No, I might be wrong too. But I remember the final battle scene against Sentinel Prime. The one that got Optimus Prime over the top was that Megatron helped out. Megatron felt like, I should be the big bad villain, and then
Yeah,
he actually intervened. Because so Optimus Prime is like, oh god, I almost lost to Sentinel, but Megatron helped
yeah.
me out. And
Because yeah, that's when they're in. Okay, because it takes place in Chicago, right? That's
yes,
when they just completely, like, all of downtown Chicago is just
decimated.
completely leveled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that old Smithsonian dude
Yeah.
is in the second one.
The second one, got you. So I got it all mixed up.
Well, hey, believe me, I'm glad I watched it today because I wouldn't have known either.
Can I ask you what you think of Joss Duhamel and Tyrese characters in this whole movies?
I think I wrote that down. I was like, I think on the very first movie, I'm like, oh, this movie is definitely starting off like I mean, because Michael Bay really loves like military, navy, all that. He's
Yes.
really into that, and he pays really good homage and respect to those kind of people.
Hmm.
And in this movie, it's definitely this weird like three-part story where it's Transformers, it's Sam Whitworthy, whatever his stuff, and then also those people. They don't have as big a role, but they're definitely in the picture, and it just it's the same. It's like, oh well, he's back. Oh well, he's back. Oh, he's on SEAL Team 18 and a half now. Now he's on Sector 7. Now he's in, I think in the third one it's called Nest. I don't know what
Yeah.
it stands for, but I don't know. I have no problem with it. It's just like they needed an outlet almost to have like someone fighting with the Transformers.
Yeah. And the what I think of those two characters is that there's not much, or the writers, you can blame them that they didn't give Josh Duhamel and Tyrese characters evolution or character development from movie one, movie two, movie three. Like you said,
Exactly.
they're just there, and it also brings me to because I was wondering when I was watching these movies, like, man, put yourself in like Shia's shoes or Josh's shoes. It's like you gotta always yell or scream a lot, and you gotta always look up a lot, because John Roman is like, your necks must be hurting, right? Crazy, right?
Yep. Yep.
So that itself already takes a lot out of you, man, energy wise.
Yeah, I don't know because the thing is it's like you said they don't evolve. They don't really get bigger parts.
Yeah.
They're literally like, well, it's a paycheck and I'm doing the exact same thing. So,
And lastly, before we move on to the next one, regarding to military, I appreciate Michael Bay's love for military, but
mhm.
there are times when I think he overdoes it, when he excessively uses military shots just for the sake of using it. Like, oh,
Yeah.
let's point our camera to these fighter jets for no reason. Sometimes.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. That's why these movies are so long. He's paying homage to all of these military shots of like aircraft carriers and jets and I mean, I totally I commend him for respecting that and everything, but it's just like you said, very much out of place sometimes.
Exactly, exactly. All right, so the next one is Transformers: Age of Extinction, aka Marky Mark enters.
Hey, I think we found a transformer.
Hey, we gotta have a Boston accent though, bro. You gotta take out the garbage. um,
Yeah.
so for our viewers, this is set 5 years after the Chicago decimation, and
Mhm.
there's no treaty anymore. So Autobots and Decepticons, all the aliens are considered threat, and they're illegal. They're hunted down, and so Optimus has lost faith in humanity. And there's this mechanic named Kate Yeager, yeah, played by Mark
Yeah.
Wahlberg,
Yep.
and so he stumbles upon this truck, and of course he has his own family and a hot daughter, and hot daughter's boyfriend. So those are the three, including T.J. Miller as the comic relief,
Yeah.
and so they. I think the mission is there's a bounty hunter that's after the Autobots, so they have to exterminate, and also Megatron comes in a new form, Galvatron. So
Yep.
there's that, and including, yeah, the government also hunting them down. So
Yeah.
that's in a nutshell. I hated this movie. I, I remember going to the press screening. I took my friend because my friend was so excited for it. And by the end, when the end credits roll, we looked at each other. I was like, "Holy shit, we just wasted."
I thought you were gonna say we're no longer friends now.
Almost there. We almost lost our friendship, but like,
Oh
holy
man.
shit, we wasted our time sitting
Dude,
through
this
this.
one's a long one too. This one takes
Yes,
forever.
2 hours and 45 minutes, I believe.
Oh
Holy
my gosh,
crap!
that's like 8 days because this movie sucks, so then it takes even longer. But yeah, no, I remember seeing this one in the theaters with like a girlfriend at that time or something, and I'm very cloudy on this one,
uh,
but I do remember that Mark Wahlberg is a mechanic. He finds Optimus Prime. He's like, "Hey, I think we found a Transformer." Who set some beats up? He busts out of a barn, and then the Black Ops people. I don't know if Lockdown. I think that's the
Yeah,
name of the bounty
lockdown.
hunter.
Yeah,
I don't know
lockdown.
if he's with them yet, but then yeah, they have to go on the run.
Now, I laugh a lot though when T.J. Miller dies, because
Yeah,
the death scene was so funny.
yeah. Because doesn't I'm trying to think of how it happens. It happens in that factory,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah,
And, and you would think that they'd keep him alive to keep people laughing because it's such a long movie, but no, it's like let's kill him off.
yeah. He's out of here.
And I understand when it comes to franchises, I understand that sometimes writers or producers will be thinking like, hey, instead of bringing back Shia LaBeouf, instead of focusing on the same people, let's let's create another story but set in the same universe. It could be like a spin-off sort of thing, but you keep the integral characters like Optimus Prime. But man, it just doesn't work with me, man. With whole Mark Wahlberg inclusion thing. It just
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
No, like what you're saying, they're throwing Shia LaBeouf out, bringing in Mark Wahlberg, throwing out Megatron, bringing in Galvatron, even though it's the same person. It's just I don't know. They wanted to, bring new light into this franchise
Yeah.
with a different lead character, kind of older, different style, 5 years after Transformers are outlawed, but dude, it just does not work.
And of course, they still sexualize the girl who plays Mark Wahlberg's daughter. There's a few scenes where I'm like, okay, I get it. That's a sexualization shot right there. And also, this is the movie that features Dinobots. What
Yes.
are your thoughts about that?
Dude, okay. I remember seeing the trailers for this movie, and I was like, I'm so in on this movie. Robot dinosaurs. Optimus Prime is gonna be riding a fucking dinosaur. Let's do this. And they show up for maybe 10 minutes. Like, isn't it? Because they don't show up till the very
Yeah.
end.
What the fuck, right?
Yeah, uh
It's a blue ball thing.
it
You're
really
like,
is because it's like you show us the coolest stuff and then you don't even like well, we're not gonna put it in. Budget cuts.
it's like you thought we're gonna do it. You just said
Uh,
the trailer tricks you.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I completely forgot that this is the one that they introduced the dinosaurs in. Because, I mean, I guess I was just lost upon the plot because I don't know what you think of the whole plot in general or whatever, but doesn't it seem like it's like an hour with them dealing with that factory or like because they're
Yes.
like building fake transformers or something. It's
Yes.
really bizarre. I don't even know what's going on there, but it just felt like a very long movie.
No, no. Thank you for bringing that up because plot-wise, starting with the second movie and on, it just becomes mind-numbing for me as I watch. Transformers 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just like once you get past the first half hour of the film, I just like my eyes are still open, but just like what am I? I can't follow the storyline, and sometimes the journey, they go from one subplot to the next. Like instead of like, hey, you can just trim this whole thing down. You just cut this whole part and get from point O to point B and make it. Sometimes they just like, why do you have to have these many detours? I don't know if you get that
Yeah.
sense.
Well, I mean, that's what happens when you that's why it's 2 minutes and 45 or whatever because it just they don't know when to stop and from what I remember, I feel like I should have really brushed up on this one, but there is a lot of product placement in this one if I remember right.
Yes.
Because and then another thing is like they finally or I wouldn't say they finally, but they knew that they make a lot more money overseas with these movies,
Yeah.
so they definitely catered it to that audience more.
Yes. Oh man, it's just as far as I remember. Well, I don't know about the late great Roger Ebert if he's the one who said this. Maybe somebody who worked at RogerEbert.com. But I read a critic from that outlet that says to about Transformers Age of Extinction. It's just noise. It's just metal clashing noise. It's noises.
Yeah,
And
it's a shame.
and the thing is, you start to see pattern of some of the action sequences or the fight sequences between the the giant robots in these Transformers movies. Not only the slow mo, but they always have a sequence of two robots going through a building or going through a bridge, and then you see humans on the front, and as the robots going through in the back.
Whoa! Going over top.
Exactly. It's the same idea.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
gets old.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you because yeah, I watched a couple of them within the last 2 days, and I thought I watched the same movie because it is a lot of the same shots. Now there's one thing that we haven't even brought up, and I
Yes.
really want your opinion.
Yeah.
When the giant robots, the hunk of metal, they really design it well. There's a lot of great CGI. When they're just fighting, can you tell which one's good, which one's bad?
No,
Like,
I can't.
See, that's the thing. They don't give them enough I wouldn't say personality, but enough color. Like, I don't know, something that you can clearly tell that, hey, that's a good one, that's a bad one. Because when we get to another movie, Bumblebee,
Yeah.
I'm sure that you'll agree that they did that a lot better in that film.
Yes, and also to your point, not only could we not separate or not able to differentiate, but also the level of chaos kind of blurs that even more.
Yep.
Because all this debris, all these explosions. So my eyes are like, and on top of the, like I said, my numbing journey that I had, it doesn't help. You know what I'm saying?
No, I totally agree. And I guess that was my problem, is because when I was rewatching a couple of these, it almost seemed like there was almost two cars that were the exact same. One's good, one's bad. They transform, look the exact same. And I'm like, I don't know who I'm supposed to be rooting for in this fight. Where am I going?
And my thing is like, oh, where's the sexy thighs? Where's the sex shot?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm just airbrushing this over here. Don't mind me. Just like ass up in the air.
Where's the ass shot? Fucking Michael Bay, man. It's like,
I'm surprised by this last one. He just didn't use that as the title sequence. Just someone's ass, and then it says Transformers.
No, I'm surprised that by this point. I'm surprised that he didn't even just use like lingerie models as playing all the female characters.
It wouldn't have, the thing is, it wouldn't have been out of place.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that would have helped. Just kidding.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, go ahead.
One thing, I want to go back like one or two movies.
Yeah.
When did the Decepticons get the technology to turn into humans? Because that one that's making out with Sam in his bed, and the tail, I don't know. That's a whole conversation for another time.
No. Good point, because remember there was also a shot of Transformers that turns into motorbikes, and they have like computer people riding the bikes.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Because
like,
you know what? In the
hologram.
first one, all of the Decepticons had actual like drivers in their cars, but it was all holograms or whatever. I don't know. They're getting upgraded between these movies.
All right, so let's get to the last of Michael Bay's Transformers movies. Transformers.
Best one.
The Last Night. Now, for our viewers, real quick, that how in the previous installments it suggested that Transformers already visited us in in pre-ancient, prehistoric era or the Apollo 11 era, and turns out they already visited us during the medieval era, even though historically King Arthur did not exist, I think. But anyway, so so
You want historic accuracy here. You are a fool.
Come on, Michael Bay, get it right, get it right. So, the whole war, Anglo-Saxon war with the Knights of the Round Table, and Merlin is played by Stanley Tucci. Stanley Tucci comes back, but it's a different character.
Which is not confusing at all.
and then goes to present day, and the arc in this one is basically, let me read to you this, Cybertron again, the MacGuffin is the staff, I believe that's what they're going after.
Yep. The
and
staff of Merlin, I believe.
exactly. And then the bad guy is Quintessa, who is the creator of Cybertron, and she turns Optimus Prime into bad guy, and so that makes the whole thing complicated. And of course, there's Anthony Hopkins in this one because you can't have the Last Night or Medieval Age without some British thespian in it.
Yep.
And of course, there's Isabella Moner introduction, and of course, the return of Marky Mark. And this is I gotta because this came out last year, and I remember, dude, I kid you not, I walked out after the first hour and 30 minutes of the movie. I walked out of
You know
the
what's funny? That would have been a full movie if it was any other movie.
exactly. After 90
Yeah,
minutes,
I walked out after 90 minutes. Their credits were rolling.
it just got too ridiculous, Jared. Like that whole robot butler. I was like, what is
Yes, the
going
robot
on?
butler. I wrote that down. I was like, what the heck, dude?
What is going on here? Go
I
ahead,
don't
go
know.
ahead.
No. This was actually like one of the first movies I reviewed, and I was just like, I think I saw it a day or two before. It was long, it was confusing, it was boring. There's a lot of stuff happening. Like it tries to open up with I don't know how many years after the previous one it is,
Oh,
but
I don't know.
yeah, I don't. But Marky Mark, he's hiding these people or Autobots on his junkyard. Then he like saves these kids with like pipe bombs or something. And then there's a transformer, and he's like, I think he just like crumbles, but he gives him like a medallion, and
Yes.
then at the end he gets Excalibur.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Why is Mark Wahlberg running around with an Excalibur in his
Yeah, and then they can only find Merlin's staff, or they can only use it if it's a descendant. So they had to get that one woman to come in.
And as I said in previously, for some reason Michael Bay always tries to have one or two Oscar winner or Oscar nominated actor in it. This time we have the great Anthony Hopkins. I'm telling you, if Michael Bay had been given another shot of another at another Transformers movie, he would have probably brought in Robert De Niro or Jack Nicholson. It's like,
Oh yeah,
and the thing is with this movie too, man. I like you said, it's just like there's this journey from one to the next where I think you get to the point where you're like, you're trying too hard to wrap your head around the journey. And for me, at least, I got to the point where I'm like, fuck it, I'm out of here. Just like I don't want to try to follow you guys anymore. It's like,
no, it's
where
so
are you guys
true
going?
because like just trying to piece this together in my mind, it's just all over the place, and I don't even think the timeline's up. I think they go from like America to like United Kingdom in like 3 hours.
Yes.
It's just none of it makes sense.
And Stanley Tucci is the worst comic relief. It's like I love the guy. He's a great actor, but man, as a drunk Merlin and the whole thing with him riding the horse, and it's like, what is? It's just
Yeah,
so
that was very
dumb.
I will say the dragon, that was kind of cool.
Okay.
I'll give it that. Otherwise, not much else. I'm trying to even think of what the heck. Oh, how the writers tried to switch it up by doing the old trope of good guy turns bad, has to basically get a dose of nostalgia to turn back to his good self, because to turn him back, Bumblebee actually talks.
Ah, that's right. And
Oh, you didn't make it that far, probably.
no,
so
I
you-
did.
Oh. Yeah, at the end, Optimus Prime, he's evil, he's killing everyone. Then Bumblebee's like, I don't even know what his voice is. It's like, it's me, Bumblebee. And then he like turns back to good. I don't know.
And I think it's just another round of the writers are like, okay, let's try to find a point in history or fall history where we can say there's another stuff or object or mission that will come out of that part of history. If it's
Yeah.
Apollo 11, if it's medieval times, it's like, oh man, they ran out of ideas. They really ran out of ideas by this time. It's
Yeah,
just
they
like,
really did. It was just, it's bizarre.
Now, Before
That's the easiest thing to say. It's the that one. Give me one word. Bizarre. That's what I'm gonna explain this movie as.
Marky Mark. Ah, I hate you, Mile 22. Um,
So glad I skipped out on that.
Now, before we get to Bumblebee, let's do an overall review of the whole Transformers franchise. Um, I gotta say, I remember, I think the second or the third movie where they have these couple of robots that also spews out like racist jokes, and that was like a big deal. Everybody's like, "Holy crap!"
Oh,
Yeah,
I wrote that down as those two. They were the ice cream trucks, and then they turned into these two other ones. Yeah, I think it was the second one where they're very much yeah.
yeah. I think it goes to what you said earlier. Along with the sexist jokes, like I don't think they could fly in this day and age. Like this,
No.
yeah. So so the fact that they got away with it was pretty.
And that's the thing is it's so weird because like the first one was 10 years ago, but then it's like 8, 6, 5, like even 5 years ago. It's like some of that stuff is like, oh, why are you putting it in here?
Now, and also I put that on my note here that it feels like with each Transformers movie of Michael Bay's, that it feels like it's gonna be the last one because there's always this martyrdom, like sacrificing of oneself, or like, oh, this is it, we're gonna die for the cause. And then the next, the next movie they bring him back again, and then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
we're gonna die for the cause. By the end of it, it's like, oh, apparently the previous movie was not the last one, so there's this one. So
Well, the thing is not even for like the good guys, it's both sides because it's like,
yeah,
oh, they died, just kidding. Oh, they died, just
just kidding.
kidding. Oh, they died, but he changed his name, but they put his brain in him.
Now, I also had my notes here that I laugh at. I know people probably think it's inspiring, but I laugh at the Optimus Prime's fortune cookies statements, like fate rarely calls for those in the time of readiness or whatever it is. Like, remember
Yes.
that? Yeah, and some
Quality
other.
writing. The writer one day they were going to get Chinese. They had one script left. It was 10 minutes till due, and they were like, "Dude, just line up these fortune cookies. Boom, send it to the printer."
No, well, there's one shot that he said to Sam Witwicky. It's like, you may lose faith in us, but never lose faith in yourself.
Thanks, dude.
And I'm just on the floor.
Yeah.
I was like, that came with my Chinese food last night.
It's like I knew I read that somewhere. I don't know. Just overall, there's a lot of sexualization of there's a lot of, like you said, it's being geared towards teenage boys is like right on the money because I even wrote that like I think in the second one when Sam drops that the shard and all of his appliances in his house turn into robots.
Yeah.
One of them, I don't know what it is, but it's a robot and literally it has like a robot penis and it's shooting out like just this. And I'm like, what is going on? And then right after that, the two dogs are humping each other.
And remember in the first movie, I think is it Bumblebee or another robot was pissing on John Turturro.
Yes, yes. I wrote that down. I said in the first one, he's like just pissing on him. I'm like, okay, we're not gonna address this. Just gonna let this one. Okay, yeah, cool.
Overall, it's just, oh man, it's painful to revisit these movies. I give you that. It's really
Yeah.
painful.
I don't know. I mean, they're basically the definition of popcorn flick, but they're just. I don't even think they're worth that because popcorn flicks are fun, and this one they're just exhausting. You know, if you were to cut it down to maybe 90, 100, 110 minutes, perfect. But
Okay.
there's just so much in there.
And we can agree that maybe, of course, much of the blame will be on the writers, but also bigger part of the blame is on the director because the director is a storyteller, and I think we can agree that Michael Bay is just not a good storyteller, at least from my point of view. Yeah.
And that's the thing is like, I mean, looking at some of his other movies, like The Rock, like I really enjoy that movie.
Yeah.
But then again, that I think came out 10 years before the first Transformers. So
Something happened.
yeah,
All right. So,
he got really horny.
now I know you already posted your Bumblebee review. I'm sorry I haven't watched it yet. Looking forward to seeing it.
Wow, man.
I think I disliked it though. I pressed
Oh
dislike.
yeah, there was a dislike. Yes, awesome. Hey, cheers.
All right, so um, Bumblebee is everything that a Transformer should be, or the what the franchise could be. You know, if Michael Bay had not been involved with it in the first place. Uh, it's such a good story, good character, good acting on Hailey Steinfeld's part, and like you said earlier, that you can actually see the fight sequences, actually enjoy and view them. And I think at one point, the fight between Bumblebee and those two guys, those two robots, I think it's MMA style. I was like, holy crap, the way they wrestle was
Yeah,
like MMA. I was like, this is pretty cool.
yeah.
And of course, the 80s throwback and the comedy is pretty mild, but it's not, I felt so good, like I said, that we're not bombarded with sexist or, unnecessary, bad racist jokes or whatnot. So even though it's mild, it's okay because, it's supposed to be family friendly. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree. Like this is definitely a just a fresh start, just kind of, you know, going coming out of this movie last night, I was like, wow, they did it. I wouldn't say that this is perfect across the board,
Mhm.
but this is significantly better than what we've gotten. And the 80s tone, the I think in my review I said, yeah, the 80s tone with the music was great because this movie did feel like it was they were almost gearing it to be like, hey, this was made also in the 80s, like it's set in the 80s, but we made this movie 40 years ago because like some of the tropes and stuff that they used definitely felt like from an 80s John Hughes movie and stuff like those
Yes.
bullies, like the girl and the working at the fair and stuff and like that. But the designs, I really liked how they did those because they almost they weren't as busy as the Michael Bay ones. Like there wasn't as many moving parts, so you could see and like they even I think at the end of the movie, the director or whatever, Travis Knight talked about it. They're like, yeah, some of the parts we didn't want to animate, we just put the like hubcap over. And I was
Mm,
like, that worked. That
yeah.
worked perfectly because that's part of the car. You can see that he's all yellow, and I really enjoyed it.
No, thank you for bringing that up because that goes with the old saying, less is more.
Hmm.
So Michael Bay would just overdoes it sometimes. Now, also, I love the fact that the dynamic between Hailey Steinfeld and Bumblebee, it's kind of like Iron Giant or E.T.
Yep.
or an owner with a pet dog, whatever, whatever. It's
Yep.
it's that friendship, heartwarming tale, coming of age too, because it's not. Of course, thankfully they don't over sexualize Haley Steinfeld in no way, shape, or form.
Oh,
So
you
that's a
didn't
good
see the
one.
scene where she sits on his face?
I missed that part.
Yeah, it's where Bumblebee transforms into a Hummer.
Also, I gotta buy the Blu-ray to watch the deleted scenes.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and on top of the fact that it's not like, as we discussed earlier, it's not like when the writers are like, oh, how do we put Sam Witwicky in the middle of this? It's not like that. It feels organic, because it's a friendship movie, right? Do you get that?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like in my review, I said the exact same thing that you just kind of said. The whole it was very reminiscent of E.T., a boy and his dog trope or whatever. And it didn't. There was other stuff going on, like these other robots were hunting Bumblebee down, but Bumblebee lost his mind a little bit. He couldn't remember who he was, and he just this girl was learning from him. She was learning, like they were learning from each other. They were both growing. Like she was still hung up on like her dad, so there was this weird missing part of her life, and Bumblebee kind of came in to kind of fill that void for her. And
Yes.
I agree that that relationship really worked in this film.
Exactly. Thank you for that. Yes. So it makes sense the motivation behind their relationship, behind their friendship, like you said, the feeling of the void thing, and also I think our mutual friend Rudy's movie reviews pointed out, the design for Optimus Prime is very retro, like the one that we grew up
Yes.
with.
Yeah.
I like that. It's obviously you can tell it's a prequel. Because at the end that he Bumblebee turns into a Camaro, and
Yep.
that's what Shia LaBeouf found in the first movie was a Camaro. But the design for Optimus Prime is just I love how it's like, oh, that's like the cartoon.
Yeah, I was gonna say what was you just said your opinion about that, but what did you think of kind of Cybertron? I mean, it wasn't a big part of this movie, but what
Yeah,
did you think of that?
I loved it. And I mentioned to a friend prior to Bumblebee movie or prior to screening it, because I think we had some shots of Cybertron in the Michael Bay's previous Transformers movies, but it's not done in a way that's not too chaotic. I can actually enjoy Cybertron. I can actually like view it as a watcher,
Yes.
and I told my friend like, oh, that'd be so nice if we just have Transformers movie where it's just bots against bots, no humans,
That's
and
what I was thinking too.
exactly for those first few scenes, that's what it gave me. That's what it gave me.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Like the first, I don't know, I think it was what the first minute or so
Mm.
of the movie was like on Cybertron, and after 5, 10 seconds, I was like, "Oh dang, this looks good! Like it's retro. Like it was great. I just really enjoyed that, and I do want to see. I don't know if they could do it. I mean, if we just got one where it's just bots versus bots on Cybertron or in space or something like that, sign me up. I'm totally in on that because I would love to see more of kind of that on screen.
I agree, and the use of military in this one, it's not like we discussed earlier. It's not just like unnecessarily or waste of shots. And they actually add to the humor, and and John Cena being he has a good comedic timing actually works effectively. But let me ask you this, because you're an aspiring stand-up comic, and comedy is your thing. What do you think about the comedy of Bumblebee?
Um, I mean, there was some stuff that was very much endearing and whatnot, but personally, I did not like John Cena's performance at all.
Okay, no problem.
I don't know. I mean, you kind of hinted that you kind of enjoyed it. I didn't, and that's the thing is like I think that some of his lines they were almost like this is Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 80s with his
Yes.
there's like there's a door in front of me or something like that, and I just it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But if that's what they were going for, they nailed it.
Yeah, you're right. It seems like they put in Arnold Schwarzenegger character from Kindergarten Cop or some
Yes.
one of those comedy movies that Arnold used to do and put him in there, and John Cena becomes that.
But did you like his character and the humor and kind of the angle of where he was in this movie?
Um, as I said earlier, I think I'm gonna go back to the fact that I did not laugh a lot watching this film, um, but I came in with the understanding that it's gonna be a family friendly, mild humor kind of
Hmm.
movie. So I wasn't totally, even though I did not end up chuckling at the one liners of John Cena. I'm thinking like, hey, if the kid sitting next to me liked it, that's the whole point. But that's my take on it. What do you think?
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to like just this movie in general was very enjoyable. I'm glad that they kind of switched up stuff.
Ah.
Um, I'm trying to think of what else there was. Um, oh, did you like how the Transformers basically invented the internet for us? I think that was kind of just a wink and a nod, but it was kind of it was cheesy, but I let it slide.
You know what would be funny? You know how in Pixar movies there's always like Easter eggs, or like they would have this thing for diehard Pixar fans of like, oh my god, you see that one character in Incredibles 2? That character actually showed up in the first Monsters Inc. I don't know if you
Hmm.
know that. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah,
I'm thinking while watching this movie, it's like, wow, what if Hailey Steinfeld's character actually shows up as a pedestrian or somewhere in the
yeah.
Shia
Like,
LaBeouf Transformers movies?
I mean, they could easily pick someone out to do that. That'd be weird. Well, okay, that's the thing. Is this officially a prequel? I don't
Oh.
know. I mean, it definitely like the end very much hinted at it, but I don't know if they've ever come out and said officially that this connects with everything.
Yeah, that's I don't
I
know.
mean, yeah, hey, you're up on the inside scoops. You rubbing elbows with all those famous people out there. You should know this.
Well, here's what I'm hoping though. I don't know the answer to that question for sure, but I'm hoping that if this is a prequel, then it will be the start of actual good Transformer sequels. You know what I'm saying? Actual solid.
Fingers crossed.
Now, I have a note here before we end. I gotta ask you because I put a poll on Twitter and on YouTube. Which other Transformers characters would you like to see, or do you think that should get a standalone spin-off movie as well?
Probably that butler from the last.
You want to know his origin story, right?
Yes, what kind of tea does he brew? No, no, Rama, I'll be serious. I'll be serious. I think I saw that poll that you put up though, and the thing is, like, I'm not too familiar with other Transformers. The only other two that would even have the name to open up a movie would be Optimus Prime or Megatron.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I mean, you can't do one for like Starscream or Jazz or like those aren't big enough names to open up anything. Maybe down the line, like if they were to pull some Marvel shenanigans. But yeah, I would say the Optimus Prime or Megatron. And I really appreciated that in this movie they didn't. It was very much on Bumblebee and the girl. Optimus Prime was in there a little bit.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it was just kind of focused on those two.
Yes, good point. Because the movie doesn't feel like it's biting off more than it can chew. So it just like the focus is on Bumblebee, and that's his movie, and I like that. And you're right. I think they made Paramount made a good or wise decision on going with Bumblebee as a spin-off because everybody loves Bumblebee, dude. It's like it's
Mhm.
like you can't hate Bumblebee, you know? He's just a likable dude.
Oh yeah.
So
I was
this,
gonna say in my screening, I was very surprised. I mean, one, it's hard to find finding an early screening where I live. It's not really advertised or anything, but there was a lot of families, a lot of kids in the screening, and I was like, Bumblebee and Transformers, this probably means quite a bit to these kids because I mean, when I was a kid, I'm trying to think of a movie character that I was just like, oh, I need to go see this on the big screen, like a hero of mine, but like kids must really love Bumblebee.
yes. Even though they probably don't get the 80s reference, they just
No.
love.
Yeah, that's the 80s is for the parents.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's something for everybody in that film, definitely.
Yeah. I
Uh,
totally agree. So, who do you
yeah.
want them to make a movie of next?
I'm on your camp. I don't know many of the characters. I watched the cartoons, but I don't remember the names. I think I would love to see Starscream. But my friend pointed out to this character that I don't know the name, but I think he shows up in Bumblebee in the Cybertron war scene, where it's like like a cassette tape comes out of him. But in that scene, it's a robot dog that comes out of
Oh
him.
yeah.
Remember that? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that was cool. I don't know who that is, but that was cool.
that is pretty cool. I would like to know him more.
Yeah.
So yeah. Any final thoughts, brother?
I mean, I wouldn't say that it's perfect, but
Mhm.
it's very much a solid Transformers movie. I love the direction that they went. I love the tone that they had, and I really hope that this kind of does set up maybe I don't know if they would do another Bumblebee movie or stuff in this kind of setting, like this tone. Because I'm totally on board if they do.
I was surprised that because when they announced Dylan O'Brien was voicing him, I thought he was gonna be voicing the whole time. But I was like, oh,
Yeah.
they show the origin of how he lost his voice. I
Yep.
get it.
And
Yeah.
and at first when he started talking, I was like, I guess I didn't read that story, so I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, he has a voice. And then it's like, no, Bumblebee.
So if you want sequel, you probably would prefer it without John Cena. Got you?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm hating on the guy. I don't know. I just watched it. I was like, I can't do this.
Hey, bro, you can't see me. You
Yeah,
can't see
see?
me.
I was like, get off the screen.
You can't see me. Well, Jared, it has been so fun talking with you, man. It's been a long time coming, long overdue that we finally get to do this collabo. And I hope we get to do it again, like I said, on a more appealing franchise. So we don't.
50 Shades.
50 Shades. In anticipation of the reboot.
Yeah. Let's see that dick.
now, I want to ask you. I understand if you don't want to share, but how close are you to realizing your stand-up comic dream?
Like actually achieving it.
Yep.
I have not done a single second of stand up yet.
Open mic? Nothing.
I know I need to, and that's the thing is like trying to do movie review. I mean, because this is an outlet for it, but I feel like I'm very much limited. But I don't know. I need to. I'm gonna put it on my list for 2019. I need to do it because I know I don't want to brag, but I feel like I'll do pretty well at it.
Yes, you will. And you know what? When the next time I see those trailers for Netflix comedy special, I want to see Jared Buckendahl on that. You know, I'm like,
Yeah,
who's this Chris Rock fellow, and who's this other
yeah.
shit?
Well,
What's this?
I I'm not gonna announce anything, but I have some stuff planned for 2019. So there may be some stuff on my channel.
All right. Speaking of which, do your plug, man. Plug away.
Oh yeah, you can get you guys all of the viewers here can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Jared Buckendahl. Yeah, jump over there. I do movie reviews like Rama. I'm not doing as many. This guy's doing press junkets. He's doing movie reviews, TV. He's doing it all. But I'm basically doing trailer reactions, movie reviews, some fun comedy skits, and also yeah, I'm throwing random comedy skits and kind of my personality into those reviews.
Awesome, awesome. Before we go, of all the character sketches that you've done, because I know you did Freddie Mercury, you had a hood on with Robin Hood. Which one was your favorite? Looking back, anything that?
Oh man, the one I did today for Bumblebee was kind of fun because it
Ah,
was just like it's me sitting in a car and I guess just trying to do stuff that like me just standing there is fine, but like when I can go in and like graphically put me somewhere, that's kind of cool. But my Creed one where I'm slow motion punching
yes.
myself in the face, that is by far my favorite because it turned out so well.
Oh, for the viewers out there, also subscribe to Jared Buckendahl because he also does my favorite retro J Buck retro. Holy shit, man! Oh,
What are you talking about? Those are old VHSs. I'm not recording new stuff. That is just a pile of VHSs
yes,
somewhere.
that's right. Sorry. That's all stuff. Well, thank you again, Jared, and till next time, for everybody out there, as always, let's rock this.